We're going to be going into our first map here in what is a best of 9. Serral versus Clem, a fight to become the king of the StarCraft II world. It starts here right now. In the top right, in the red, he is Serral. And his opponent down here in the bottom left, in the blue, he is Clem.
All right, we're going to be starting out here on Crimson Court. And, I think it's, obviously very important to try to start the series off very strongly with a victory. But these two have played each other so many times. They've played in so many different tournaments that I feel like in a best of 9, if you lose that first map, it's not going to be the end of the series. It's going to be just a minor setback.
Yeah, it's a series where, quite the opposite of a best of 3 where there's almost no wiggle room. This is a lot of space to explore different play styles, try different strategies or all-ins. We talk about a best of 5, a best of 7, or in this case, a best of 9 as one where each game does generally give the other player a little bit more information about how they're approaching the game, right? You may see your opponent play conservatively for 2 games, and you might try to make some adjustments to punish that. And it's why it's so important if you're going to become any high caliber player, and especially an esports world champion here, you need to be able to have a range of play and be able to randomize your play. But this should be a lot of fun. Now, again, the fact that Clem, 3-year-old Serral, was basically the biggest upset of the tournament. That was shocking. We knew that it was possible for Clem to defeat him, but nobody really thought Serral would lose that way. And it's been true for other players as well, which makes this a really interesting situation. I guess you could say that technically Serral is the favorite here. He has been a more dominant StarCraft II player in the last couple years, but Clem seems to be looking a little bit bigger, better, faster, stronger.
Yeah, I would definitely say that Clem has kind of come to a different level nowadays. He's playing so fast, he's playing so strongly, really modern, top of the meta type of plays. Now, we'll be looking for that and mentioning to you guys as we see them, but really, I feel like the key to the victory here against Serral is just being so fast, out multitasking him, being everywhere at once, and punishing for Serral for anywhere that he can't keep up.
Serral is the ultimate multitasking, balancing act Zerg. He knows exactly when to pump the brakes on his production. He knows when to attack in hard. He knows when to retreat and dial it back. And on a lot of his games, it's almost confusing how he's winning because he's just sort of ahead in every metric. He seems to really know how to cut corners. He knows what to zero in on. He's able to look at a very small amount of information when scouting or seeing something on the map and then delineate what exactly the options his opponent has and how to punish him.
That's right. Now, taking a look at these build orders from our 2 players here, Serral is going for that Roach Warren, and that's something that he has utilized quite a bit. But in this particular case, he doesn't really have that very fast third base or anything like that, right? So kind of interesting to see. And then down on Clem's side of the map, he has gone for the fast third command center right after the factory, which is very, very normal, very standard. But instead of a starport right away, he added the second barracks. So he will have a bit more Marines, the starport just being added now.
Okay, the Hellions going to be chased out here. Looks like we had the drone. He was going to make a hatchery. He actually just got out of vision there, so was not even spotted, but basically made that into an extractor to preserve the drone so he wouldn't be slowed down and expanding. The final Hellion is going to get away. It won't be very useful with the hit points being so low, and we should see that third hatchery starting over at 3 o'clock in a second here.
Yeah, he will get that started up. Overlord speed here on the way while some roaches are being produced. And we'll see if it's going to be something aggressive here out of Serral. He is making a drop Overlord here already. That could possibly be to bring some queens across the map, but also, he might just be looking for some harassment here. Now, the interesting thing that I find, Tasteless, is that this was a faster second barracks as opposed to the Banshee follow-up that's so common. And now that Quick Overlord has gone in there and scouted it, he sees the overall count of Marines and that it is probably a little bit higher than what he's used to.
I kind of like doing this over the Banshee play. It seems like the Banshee play hasn't really been that effective. It seems sort of par for the course in most of these games, and maybe it gets a couple kills, but it's almost reliant on your opponent making a mistake. So I welcome this change of scenery here from Clem. Now, Clem is going to be moving out with a couple units. Serral was making Zerglings as well as Roaches on the map. And with the Queens coming out here, this is going to be a pretty sharp timing.
Yeah, and look at this. He's already actually dropped some creep out of the Overlord and put a couple creep tumors down. So that's a really interesting play that'll be useful at the later beginning of the game. But that is a sick snipe from Clem, getting the Overlord, getting the Queens, and these Roaches are not going to be able to stand up against him. Clem already in a very good position here in game number 1.
I mean, that is incredible. He took that out. The rush has been completely bungled here by Serral. Some excellent kills there from Clem. And, you know, Clem, not really losing anything of significance. You're happy to trade out a couple of Marines for damage like that. Maybe the best that Serral could hope for is to tear down these 2 depots, but certainly that is not enough.
No, you're definitely right about that. Clem is really kind of dominating here so far. Don't forget that the 3rd base for Serral is rather late, so that's a little bit painful. Losing those Queens. He got a couple creep tumors down over here, but it doesn't matter that much. And I mean, this is already so bad for Serral. He's losing a lot of Roaches and Ravagers. Clem just nonstop with his micros, stimming in, trying to kill as many units as he can.
And, you know, Serral really not getting that much done. We see rushes from the Zerg foiled all the time, but that was like a shutdown literally before it could even start. I mean, Clem coming out and sniping the Overlord, which also has utility. You can use that to try to juggle, you know, Queens as they're being hit. But the fact that Serral was blindsided by that from Clem is kind of unheard of. So Clem, in a very healthy position. He's taking his 3rd base. Now Zerg is also taking their 4th. This base is going to be closer to the middle of the map. But I would say Clem, you know, maybe 10% ahead here, looking pretty good. Certainly a manageable game here from Serral, but you got to look at these 2 guys and think, if you even have the slightest lead, it's very hard to recover that.
Yeah. You know, I'm looking at this, and I do like that he's picked off these creep tumors now, because that was the one thing that Serral did kind of get going, so he clears that out of that possible 4th. But if you, like, look at the overall numbers, right, this is a Roach Ravager opener, and Clem is up 14 army supply, which is pretty huge. So he's actually just going to move in and start attacking. He's actually got more SCVs than there are drones on the map. He's already adding his 2nd factory. He's already getting his armory for his 2-2 upgrades to just continue on forwards. It's a tough position for Serral. Now, he is starting his Hive, his Hydralisk Den, and getting a couple Infestors, and we all know that Serral can work magic with those Infestors.
Yeah, he's very strong and usually able to recuperate losses from earlier on with units like that. For now, we've got Clem roaming. Certainly not doing anything too risky, basically looking for opportunities, and if he finds them, like, let's say, spare creep tumors or overlords, he'll pick them off. For now, both sides are powering. We've got a lot of upgrades coming down. And it's not going to be a very quick push, I think, from Clem. He might try to come out with small units and lash out at Serral, but we've got a 4th command center coming down here. So Clem is really leaning into the kind of comfortable macro position that's been handed to him. He's not trying to punish the Zerg. Whoa, okay, almost doesn't dodge that. Yeah.
It's a good way to come back pretty quickly.
Yeah. Big drop up here inside the main. It doesn't seem like Serral was quite prepared for this. He had some Roaches, but clearly that's not going to be enough. So drones are going to have to be pulled. A Queen is sniped. No, apparently not. Queen is almost sniped.
The Queen is sniped, Tasus.
Yes.
Always believe in yourself.
Getting some play-by-play closure there. Meanwhile, in the middle of the map, we've got 2 more medevacs moving out here. He's going to try to drop behind the 3rd base.
You know, there are Hydras coming out right now, and that Lurker Den is on the way. So, you know, we will have some better late-game units coming out for Serral relatively soon. But definitely Clem keeping good control in this game. He's got that 4th base on location. 2 tanks at a time is 2-2, a little bit over halfway done, just about even with where Serral's at right now. And just continuing to drop all over the place.
And, you know, Clem's not getting incredible damage done, but he's doing a pretty good job. By the way, you know, the 4th base setup, and Clem almost maxing out. It's about time he tries to push. He's coming in here now, dodges the Biles. The Lings are shredded, and the Marines press forward here. Looks like he'll take out that Spine Crawler, the Ravagers. The drones need to be pulled. There are some Lurkers here. And is he going to dive on the Lurkers? I can't quite tell how many there are. It looks like there's at least 3 up there. Maybe an overextension for a second there from Clem, but regardless, the hatchery is going to get low, and that means Serral has to fight back.
Yeah, but Serral does fight back very, very well. Brings up his lurkers and roaches, gets at least those frontal siege tanks, moves that lurker forward just slightly, going to push those marines back. If he can save this hatchery, no, it's not going to happen. He taps out as that battle starts to go south once again, and Clem going to take game number 1.
I gotta say, it looked really impressive from him. We actually saw Serral shaking his head, muttering to himself. I mean, let's not forget, Clem 3-0'd Serral earlier in the tournament, so that's the 4th win now in a row. Serral does not know what it's like to beat Clem at all, at least so far in this event. Obviously, they played a lot in the past, but Clem seems to be bringing the absolute best iteration of himself here. I really like that he knew when to attack in and dive here and when to pull back. I think a lot of players would have gone for the hatchery earlier and tried to guarantee the win, but Clem pressed for more damage, and that destabilized Serral. The only way that Serral could try to come back was to then counterattack in there and try to dive onto the position that Clem retreated onto. Didn't work out. And so Serral, okay, we're going to take a quick shot here at this earlier moment.
Really important moment.
This is probably the most important moment in the game, is the fact that Clem dived onto the Overlord, killing 2 of the queens inside of it along with the Overlord, and then sniping the other 2. And look, this is a big investment. It's not just the queens, it's not just the Roach Ravager, it's also that you've given up drones, you're not teching into any other thing. And the fact that Clem shut this down and really only lost 2 depots and a couple Marines, which is nothing, that's just a couple of minerals, is huge. Now, if Serral can have a smoother earlier game, I think we could have a different result, but Clem looking real nasty, real on top of everything here in the early game. Over here in the top left in the red from Finland, he is Serral. Shaking his head.
Unhappy with that previous game.
Yeah, he's going to have to work real hard to get this one. In the bottom right in the blue from France, he is Clem.
And I do want to go over a couple things from that game while we're still in the early game here. Yeah. I think some people might look at that and be like, wow, that was so dominant from Clem, or why did Serral use that build, or something like that. Now, it's pretty darn standard for people to go for that 3rd command center after the factory, and the most standard follow-up to that is oftentimes Starport plus Banshee, right? Now, Serral's build, if he had run into that, if it had been Starport plus Banshee instead of 2nd Barracks with quicker stim and medevacs, you get across there, and maybe there's a couple Banshees, maybe a few more Hellions, some Marines, but no stim, no medevacs there, right? His build will perform a lot better if it was like the Banshee follow-up. So, maybe a little bit of a risk there. Of course, anytime you're attacking early, that is a risk inherently. But Clem also choosing a very good continuation to the 3rd command center, which kind of caught him off guard. Like you said, like when he caught that Overlord with the queens, I mean, your strategy is completely fallen apart at that point.
Yeah, and it's very rare to see Serral kind of caught unexpectedly in the early game. He's pretty perfect. He's pretty clean. His screen is always where he needs to be. All the hotkeys are always perfectly bound, and he responds very quickly. So really impressive to see Clem pull that off. I also like the fact that Clem went for a 4th base before pushing. I think a lot of Terrans in a game like that go 3 base and try to push.
Oh, like just all in, just pure barracks.
They go, I've got the lead. This is my one opportunity. I'm going to go for it. And I don't know if Serral scouted the 4th command center or not. I didn't see it if he did, but I think a lot of Zergs brace for impact upon a failed rush, and that means they haven't been making enough drones. And so then that 4-base push that comes very late is just way too strong.
Yeah, and I got to tell you what, like Clem is just another level as far as multitasking speed and micro speed. So like even if he takes that 4th command center, he can keep so much pressure on that it could almost feel like you're playing against like a 3-base Terran, right? You could, if you even go down the ladder of strong pro gamer Terrans a little bit, you're going to see, a huge difference in what that pressure looks like. Like Clem truly is playing Terran versus Zerg on another level from everybody else.
Let's remember the winner is going to go home with $400,000. I had to say that again in my head. I'm like, wait, that is the number, right? That's so high. I'm like, wait, am I not saying the words right? Yeah, $400,000 for whoever takes his best of 9. Right now, Clem with a 1-0 lead. That's a lot of room for Serral to try to map out a comeback here.
Yeah.
But, I mean, this is unprecedented, not just in StarCraft II, but in esports history here at the Esports World Cup.
Yeah, and just to put this into perspective, $400,000 will over double everything Clem has made so far.
Yes.
And for Serral, it's about 30% of what he's made so far, and he's the biggest money winner ever. But I would say even more important than that huge amount of prize money, which is amazing, is the person who wins here is the world champion.
That's right.
And there is no greater accolade in StarCraft than that.
That's right. The entire year has led up to this moment, and within the next maybe 2-3 hours, we will definitively have the greatest player in the world here between these two. So to go into this game, we've got Banshee with Cloak, and for Serral, it's the tech path isn't clear just yet. Clem's going for some very standard harassment. He's basically roaming with the Hellions and the Reaper to try to kill off creep tumors and control the map the best he can. This is a bit of a tit for tat we've seen thousands of times before in StarCraft II. So it's basically a textbook TVZ, at least for now, on both sides.
So we do have that Cloak on the way here for Clem with the Banshee play. So, this is closer to what Serral was more hoping to hit in that previous game. And, as far as what Clem is able to do, this is mostly it, right? Sometimes you try a little run by, try to grab some drones and whatnot, but not too likely that it'll end up working out. Someone like Serral, very good at blocking that.
So that Cloak is about to finish. The Terran's going to land his third command center. eBay is starting. I mean, again, Clem kind of going for a mainline opener here. Very straightforward, very basic. It's going to come down to that micro-macro tug-of-war in the middle of the map, where the Terran wants to push, gain some kind of foothold, and set up siege tanks and hit hatcheries. Is he going to get this? Okay, that's pretty crazy. The Queens can't stop the Hellions from forcing the hatchery to cancel in time, so that's a pretty big victory there.
Yeah, very nice to slow that down at least a little bit. A couple Cloak Banshees coming across now as well. Already some damage being put on the highest energy queen here. So I think he will use these Banshees to try to alley-oop the death of this queen. And it looks like he is going to be able to snipe that one. Really just fantastic play from Clem. Serral having a hard time.
I got to say, you never see...
Oh, my gosh.
You never see anybody get the tactical upper hand on Serral ever, and this is going to be a forced cancel again. So,
yeah,
2 forced cancels on the 4th base. I know there's another base being made at 9 o'clock right now, but that was the 4th base as far as the, pacing of each expansion. That's really big.
Yes. That's gigantic.
The Zerga may be the most vulnerable in between the 4th base finishing, right? We see a lot of games where the timing attack is based off of killing the 4th base as it's coming up or as it's finishing. The fact that there was a double cancel there means the entire development for Serral has been hiccuped. It's been stifled. It's going to be a very, very bumpy road to developing into a healthy late game.
Yeah, especially when you look at the fact that right now he's on Ling Bane, right? He's getting Baneling speed. He's getting 1-1 for his Zerglings. Okay, he's adding a Hydralisk Den now, which I think is incredibly important. But when you don't have that other unit yet, the Ling Bane, it's not just the economy you're missing, it's the production of the additional hatchery. Very, very important stuff. So, so far in this game, I would definitely give an advantage to Clem.
Yeah, Clem, pretty comfortable so far. Again, setting up these tactics that I just never really see Serral suffer from. I mean, I feel like Serral has always sort of had that sexton that lets him navigate through the early game very easily. And it's why he's so strong in the mid game and the late game, is he knows how to cut corners. Now we've got that push coming out here. There is a counterattack from Lings. The Hellions are well placed, but the Banes are going to come in here and destroy a dozen SCVs. The Lings will get out, but the push is here regardless. Now this is the 5th hatchery. That's been canceled. The location where the hatchery had been double canceled earlier, that is now finished up there. Another big Ling counterattack here. The Marines in a actually pretty decent position. I guess they'll barely have enough sustain here as more Marines come up and drive that out. But this is becoming a very shaky position for both sides.
Yeah, it was a great Baneling attack from Serral. He did a lot of damage to Clem, but Clem keeping that pressure on, boosting a couple of tanks into position here to start sieging this base, this 3rd base location up a little bit. Has the Marines behind here. A bunch of Queens come up to try to fight. Ling Bane rolling in right now as well. Great targeting there from Clem. Hits some of the Banelings as they come in, but still maintaining really good cost efficiency back here.
Yeah, this is kind of crazy. Look at that little nook. I was wondering why he would set up here, and I guess there's actually just enough space back there that you can kind of stay back with Marines, and only a couple of the Queens can really hit you. Now, there was a Baneling counterattack that killed 13 SCVs, so it's 72 drones to 54 SCVs. Clem should have lost a lot of steam with that harass, but he's going to try to come forward anyways.
Yeah, he's still trying to push a little bit. I think he knows that the Ling Bane numbers are not super, super high. The Queens have been fighting a lot, so maybe they're not full health, full energy, that type of thing. Oh, nice snipe there on the medevac. But continuing to keep that pressure on. They both definitely have hurt each other quite a bit this game.
I love the juggling with the medevac. Just keep this Marine alive over here if you can. You're not going to be able to expand if this Marine can just keep doing stuff. And this is a little mini game that is basically forcing Serral to pay attention, because that can stim and it can heal. Meanwhile, another big attack coming in here. The Ling's going to drive in and push the Marines back. Not a lot of energy on some of these medevacs. Widowmine's going to set up shop out here. This nuisance medevac continuing to just be a problem, almost taking out all the Lings so far.
Look at this. The Bane's going to try to run over that Widowmine. They do get hit. Clem continuing to rally up some more Marines, and just beautiful, beautiful micro here, targeting down those Banelings, taking almost no damage from them, and grinding more value. In the meantime, we can see in that picture-in-picture, Serral with another counterattack on that third base of Clem.
So he picks up and runs right back out. I got to say, Serral looking a lot safer this time around, especially on that fourth base that he had to cancel twice and finally reclaim. He has basically pushed Clem back. Clem's looked weaker every time he tries to attack him. It's 4 base to 5, the 5th base for Serral, barely up and running. We've got another attack in here. It seems like this was neglected, at least for a few seconds, from Serral. He'll come back in once again. And are we going to see a push from 6? It looks like we are. There's a drop here in the main. This is probably to draw Serral's screen away and get a lot of his units back into a spot where maybe they can actually attack up here. A stim from Clem, and he's going to be moving up into this spot. I see Hydras, I see Banes, and it looks like some of these Widowmine shots might allow Clem to ping-pong back in here.
No, his Widowmines have been just fantastic. The amount of Banelings he's cleared with them is insane, and it continues to occur. But Serral still has more Banes, still has more Hydras here, trying to take a good engagement. He definitely cannot be losing another base. He needs minimum 4 bases up to have a real chance here.
Pulls back a little bit. Let's not forget about the drop up at 12 o'clock. It looks like he might try to hit this other location. This is very common in StarCraft II and TVZ, where you basically try to get 2 different spots and keep hitting the Zerg in different locations in the hopes that one of the positions is a little bit squishy, is a little bit under-defended. But so far, so good. I mean, Serral's developing just fine. Clem's always been a little bit ahead in supply, but doesn't seem like it's been much of an issue. And both these guys are going to be maxing out pretty soon.
Yeah, right now, a very good chase down right here from Serral, picking off a few more Marines, forcing him way far back. Clem right now, he is on 4 bases. We can see that his 3-3 is already started. He's getting some more command centers. Like, really good things going on for him. And by the way, I love to see that he's going Marine Marauder Mine here against the Ling Bane Hydra. That is, like, in my opinion, it's the hardest thing to do to counter this, but when you're on Clem's level, it can be very strong, surprisingly so.
Look at this one Marine in between that position. Oh, nice connection there between the tank and the Widowmine. No Banes get in there. Meanwhile, another push down here at the bottom. And it looks like Serral's going to have to try to fight up this hill. It's not going to be easy. We've got tanks, we've got Widowmines, and every time Serral gets in a little bit too deep, he gets punished.
Clem just playing out of his mind right now. The worker count very close on both sides. Serral is holding on at the moment. He has Hive Tech. He has some Vipers on the way, getting those lurker upgrades. But you can see this cost efficiency from Clem is unbelievable. He's up by about 40%.
Yeah, he's doing a good job splitting the Marines. Is this the moment where Serral has enough? It seems like every time the Banelings get to that congested area, the splash damage is just too good. And I love the fact that the tanks aren't even in range here of the hatchery. Instead, he's just sort of eking out damage over time. He's forcing the Zerg to fight in this bottleneck and just shave things down over time.
Yeah, and these mine hits are just perfect from Clem. He pulls back exactly into range, and they are hitting their connections so well. The Marauder's now starting to move towards the front of his army while he continues to just grind everything down. And this is non-stop, man. He's spending his money and macroing behind this while literally non-stop kiting against Serral.
Yeah, he's everywhere, man. It's kind of insane. The Banes are going to come in again. No Widow Mines here, so it forces a pickup. Clem going to pull all the way out. And this means that this position, which has really been the thorn in the paw here of Serral for most of this game, can finally be wiped. And it's going to be up to Clem to try to rebuild another position where he can start to launch attacks from again and again and again.
Okay, good. Finally, Clem is pushed back a bit. He is getting more command centers. He's getting ready, I think, to expand a little bit more. Yeah, that 6 o'clock base has been taken as well. Serral, in the meantime, continuing to get really fantastic upgrades. He has more lurkers spread around a little bit, a good amount of Lingbane. You know, this is the one really nice thing about when you get up to lurkers and vipers. You can start to win back some of the efficiency that you've lost with the Lingbane Hydra. Right? I mean, Clem has been more efficient than almost anyone I've ever seen playing against this, but now Serral should be able to, with these high-end spellcasters, do some work of his own.
We've got the Fusion Core coming along now. Lurkers caught over here, not on hold position. And, you know, Clem's been very good at busting lurkers in the past. It looks like he doesn't have enough time to quite get these. Not a great angle for him either. And another pickup is forced here as Serral closes in on that spot, taking these Widow Mines out, getting frighteningly close here to the 6 o'clock base.
Yeah, some good parasitic bombs go down, taking out some medevacs there, and he actually did, I think accidentally there, not lift up some of his ghosts. So some expensive units going down, but that's okay. Clem has a lot up at the top here, trying to hit again. A great fungal there from Serral, but again, good mine hits.
Yeah, he's going to be pulled back once more. Looks like these lurkers can burrow and basically allow this gold-based hatchery to be taken. That's a pretty big deal if Zerg can take that. I don't know that Zerg will be able to keep it forever, but just drinking in the resources from that spot, it's a way to deny the Terran from getting it later, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you're going to need to mine more than half the map to beat Clem in this game. He's just been so cost-efficient throughout. So unless he starts to really kind of fall behind in that regard, you can't just split. You have to do a little bit more than that as Serral. Now, Serral is running around the map a little bit right now with the Lingbane Hydra. His lurker count is actually very, very low right now. Not that many. We'll see if he wants to add more. Of course, you know, when we're on this kind of like very big, wide area that he's supposed to defend, right? He's taking bottom left. He has 12 o'clock. That is a long way apart. So do you want a lot of lurkers right now? Is that something you want a little bit later when you're in a bit more control of the game? You know, I think it's a stylistic choice here from Serral, but I really don't mind him staying on a lower number for now.
Where is that Nidus worm going to come here? Right now, Zerg is just outside the Terran space. He's actually, is he going to dive in? No, he's going to back up.
That was a great EMP on that lurker, on that infestor, by the way. That's so important. This is one of the things that is a superpower for Serral. His burrow-moving infestors are, like, the amount of games that he has beaten Maru just because of that is absurd.
That's right. Some more Banes are going to come in here and just divide this position on the map so that maybe Zerg can try to expand down to the bottom left again. I do want to point out that Zerg doesn't have that many more places to go. Wherever you expand, it's pretty far away from home. And so, you know, Zerg can look pretty scary for the time being, but they're going to have a much harder time dominating and mining from here on out. We've got a big push coming in over here at the 6 o'clock spot. The Banes are going to come all the way around the planetary, and they just barely kill it before the retreat starts.
Yeah, really well done by Serral to end up killing that off, but of course Clem had another command center right there, so we'll land it immediately and continue to mine. And even though he loses 6 workers, it doesn't really matter. He's got 76 left over, which is fine. Nice fungal there upon the ghosts, but still plenty of health, plenty of energy on these medevacs, so he will be able to clean up through there.
Okay, so we've got another counter push. Is this going to go all the way home? Serral starting to bleed off a lot of units. We've got some Liberators coming up here. Widow Mines on the right. An Infestor right from behind, hitting him from 6 o'clock there. But the hatchery, it doesn't seem like it can be defended.
No, it does not. And even with the amazing flanked fungals, he is unable to stop this army from killing his base. A terrible situation here for Serral, who does not have a bank and is not maxed out against a Clem that is.
Clem just able to bounce back from anything. A moment where Serral looked like he had enough control of the map turned into an overextension. The bottom left is wide open. Liberator's doing damage up here in the top right. We've got yet another push. The Nidus is going to be used defensively and denied immediately. This top right base is going down.
Wow. Clem is playing out of his mind, Tasteless. Like, Serral is on the back foot right now. You can see the look in his face, the heavy breaths that are going on. He's lost another hatchery there in that top right now. He's trying to re-expand here to that base at 9 o'clock. But I don't know if Clem's going to let him do anything. Clem is like forever maxed out and forever pressuring.
Yeah, he's caught 1.8k minerals per second, over 1,000 gas. And it just seems like every time that Serral moves in, it's followed up by Serral retreating and Clem killing off more and more units. And again, there's no real place to expand here. No comfortable location to take. Clem has really brought this game to the right time. He's let Serral overextend a little bit. There's not a lot of comfortable bases to try to get here. Serral is doing a really good job on the economy that he has.
This is really unreal to watch as someone who's been around in StarCraft forever. This is one of the highest skills I've ever seen, ever. Like, if you look at his micro, his macro, his multitasking, his speed, which is all kind of related, but, like, it is truly a different level. He is never stopping. Like most pros, even world champions, in situations like this, it'll slow down at some point. You know, they'll sit back for a moment, macro up, and then go out again. Clem is relentless. He's everywhere at all times, and that production tab is always full.
And he's identified this weak point here, this base we keep revisiting, and this ramp where the attacks are being launched from is just a great spot to hit into. We've got Serral coming in now. Is this going to be enough? The Infest? No, it's not. Serral just taps out as he attacks in. And again, Serral muttering to himself. Yeah, you know, it was a moment I thought, gosh, it doesn't seem like Zerg can make that work. And as Serral goes in, he realizes the same thing. It's not going to happen. That's a 2-0 lead right now for Clem. And I gotta say, Clem is making it look easy. He's just able to engage and trade effectively. He also knows where to attack. So this is a spot we were looking at over and over and over again. The fact that Serral has to come up here to fight, the fact that the whole area is uncomfortable to get through, and you're fighting off creep. It's hard to ever have creep tumors up there and have that area covered. World-class play here from Clem.
Yeah, I just saw that 92 on his card. I can't believe it. Disgusting. He's much better than 92. It's clear. But yeah, there was a lot of great moves on both sides, right? There was the double hatchery cancel, the kill on the other fourth base, or the fifth base, I think, as we were calling it in the game there by Clem. In the meantime, you know, Serral did some good baneling flanks, got a bunch of SCVs with them. It was pretty well contested. It just feels like the multitasking from Clem, the amount of things he's able to do and keep clean and keep under control. Like, for instance, this non-stop for so long, and if he screws it up at all, banelings hit and he loses half his army and everything's reset and Serral's in control.
Right. We're going into game 3. Right now, Clem with a 2-0 lead in this best of 9. In the top left, in the red, he is Serral. And his opponent in the top right, in the blue, it is Clem. Ooh, cough there. Obviously, it's always possible to be down to the last game. Like, let's say that it's a 4-0 lead and for Clem, and then maybe Serral comes back 5 games in a row. Statistically, that almost never happens. So when we start to see a lead mount in a series like this, it is imperative that Serral starts to win some games.
Okay, but how about this, Tasteless? Okay, we had Serral 4-0 Dark, and then Clem 4-0 Hero, and now we could have Clem 4-0 Serral and Serral 4-0 Clem, and then play a best-of-1 for the World Championship.
I would welcome that very much, Artosis.
I think that would be the best. That's what I'm waiting for here. And the thing is, I know that Serral has the mental strength to come back in these situations.
Right.
Things have gone poorly for him so far. Clem is playing out of his mind. But if Serral can slow it down a little bit, I still think that he can do it. You know, he is... I mean, he truly is one of the greatest players ever. I don't think I've ever seen him lose the finals. He has won countless tournaments. And, you know, here looking for another world championship to add to that. You know that he's comfortable in these pressure-filled situations. It's just the guy he's up against has a skill set that literally no one else in the world has.
That all is absolutely true, but I have to point out, I haven't really ever seen Serral this flustered in a finals. I mean, he is, on some extent, wearing his heart on his sleeve, right?
Yeah.
Oftentimes, Serral has more of a poker face. He almost seems like, at the minimum, he's stoic. At the most, he's unfazed. And so it's interesting to kind of see Clem looking very relaxed, bounce around the match, and basically always end up ahead, always come out on top. And to see Serral in that position, he doesn't have a lot of time to try to concoct a solution.
That's a pretty fair assessment, I think. And actually, now that you're talking about it, like when Serral starts losing a series or, you know, is in a tough position, a lot of times he gets the angry, serious look on his face while he plays. And I feel like we're seeing a little bit more facial movement here, a little bit more frustration. So I don't want to read too much into it, but you know, I think that all of us who have played RTS games, except for maybe Serral, honestly, have felt it where you're just playing someone that is just outplaying you, and you're like, oh my God, what do I even do against this, right? But that's not something that I think Serral has felt for years, because he's just been the best player for years. And here he is against Clem, and Clem has already gone 3-0 in the earlier part of the tournament against him. Now he's up 2-0, just playing magnificently. He even saves that Reaper.
Gets that out.
You can't get anything. You can't get anything from him.
It's also a different thing, right? When you're winning everything all the time, that's more about maintenance. Right now for Serral, this is going to be about overcoming. Clem is bringing something to the game that is so scary, that is so hard to deal with.
Yeah. Now, taking a look at these builds, this is a repeat from game 1.
Yeah.
Okay? This is a 2-base layer Roach Warren, so we might see that Overlord speed, a drop with 3 queens go across the map. Now, what we were talking about before is that if your opponent goes for the 3rd command center, Reactored Hellions into Banshees, it does pretty reasonably against that. But what he hit last time was a quick 2nd barracks with quick stim and medevacs. Guess what he's hitting this time? The same exact build. Now, we'll see if he goes for the drop and the queen attack. We don't know for sure yet, right? There's a few different things that you can do with this quick 2-base layer. Here, we do see Roach speed. We see a group of Roaches. This doesn't have to turn into an... Well, that is a lot of Roaches he's making. So, I mean, it's starting to look aggressive at least.
If it is the same opening, you can't imagine it's going to have the same... Oh, my God, he got the drone. I wasn't even going to talk about it because we see that maneuver all the time, but you don't normally see the drone snipe. Getting that drone is really big. All of these little things, like, oh my God, he's going to do it again. Oh my God, I can't believe it.
Yeah, but he's, like, Serral has made nothing but Roaches this entire time, so I'm wondering, like, yeah, he got the drones, but, like, isn't there just going to be an attack coming across right now?
100%. He's going to get hit real hard. And you're right, maybe he kills those drones. He gets a little bit confident and thinks he's way ahead.
Yeah.
He is starting the wall in.
Okay.
The Marines are going to come out here, and they might... Oh, they're not going to actually hit this, so he's taking a 3rd base. That means this rush from Serral will be huge.
Yeah, definitely a very important moment coming up right now. I don't think that Clem has any idea that this army's here. Okay, now he sure does. And we're going to see what he can do against this, because that is a lot of Roaches and a couple Ravagers mixed in. The wall is not done. There are no bunkers. There is no siege tank as of yet. He is making a siege tank. So if he can hold on to that and not take too much damage, he might be able to hold on.
All right, he's going to try to stay out of range. The Roaches are now going to be up against this wall. He's going to pull these SCVs. He has to. He's going to try to chase that into a corner. So far, 12 SCVs have been killed off. He's going to try to close in a little bit further, and this is eventually going to be cleaned up. Now, he lost a lot of workers. It is a 3-base economy, though, so you can recover that pretty fast.
Yeah, that's very true. There are more Roaches and Ravagers coming up here, though, and he kills off a lot of those Marines, backs up. He has that siege tank out on the ramp right now. A couple Queens have made their way up here. Not sure exactly how useful that those will be. They're just kind of slow moving. I mean, they can absorb some tank hits, but can't even transfuse up here. And this is... It looks like a very solid Clem hold. Clem is within 3 workers of Serral's count, and like you said, he has 3 command centers, and he can replace those lost SCVs relatively quickly.
It's all drones right now, which is a big sign that this rush is going to end. Doesn't mean that there won't be more damage on Clem for the time being, but it does mean Serral no longer is trying to end this game or do much more with this. He snipes the one tank, of course the unload here with the Marines. Stim Marines can chase down Ravagers. You're just not going to get away. And so that's pretty big. Clem survives. It's 54 drones to 48 SCVs. Keep in mind that some of the drones are just now hatching. Wow, that one Ravager does get away. That third base that was denied a couple times, though. It's going to be uncomfortable now for Serral. Now that, and I think, yeah, it feels like Serral's very aware of his situation. Yeah. He knows, okay, he needs to get a fourth base up here. Clem is already in the counterplay. He's already roaming with the medevacs. He's already clearing out overlords. He's already going to make the map a very confusing and ambiguous place. Almost has that Ravager there in the front. Got to be careful with that.
It's hard to even imagine a better way to play Terran than what Clem is doing here. The fact that he holds the push and is re-getting his expansion set up and immediately counterattacking. It's like, just the theory behind it is so picture perfect. It's just people can't do it. But here Clem is clearing those overlords super, super fast. Serral's forced into making a lot of units. And you can see the drone versus SCV count is actually very close, right? 66 to 60 right now. After, 20 SCVs falling to that rush, Serral would hope to be a bit further ahead in those workers.
It's important to note that really for Zerg, there's nowhere to go as far as expansions go, but down. Oh, he even gets the drone, he gets it again. Yep. There's nowhere to expand but down. So the fact that he's denied the fourth base now, after already, shutting down that third hatchery earlier before the big rush, is huge. Serral with a small counterattack, a siege tank on the high ground is going to bat that away. And again, Clem just seems to be able to move on the map to hit where he wants and just do a job where, it's hard for Serral to get any oxygen. It's hard for him to, kind of get some leg room here on the map. The roaches are going to come down. Is he going to come try to dive on the hatchery?
Well, yeah, it looks like he is going to force a cancel there as well. Trades only a couple Marines for it. And, man, I tell you what, Clem is just on fire. And you can see, that's something Serral does when he's a bit frustrated, where he kind of fills his cheeks with air and, breathes out. And he's done that. We've caught him doing that 4 or 5 times so far this game. This has to be a frustrating situation. He's actually down in workers. The army supply is relatively close, and when you're on roaches, it's actually supposed to be much higher for you.
Right. And it's hard to get out of roaches easily.
Yes.
Roaches have their moment, but then you're kind of stuck on this clunky tech while Terran is continuing to complete all the necessary techs and unit compositions that give them a healthy push later on. There are infestors out here. I think he saw that with his medevac. He
might have, yeah.
But he's going to go around. We're going to need to see Serral come down here and meet him at 9 o'clock, because otherwise that base is going to be denied. And all Clem has to do is keep macroing, harassing, and shutting down a couple more bases, and he'll eventually have his own fourth and probably a push that could kill Serral.
Right now, still clearing out a lot of creep and roaming the bottom of the ramp at the exact same time. He's got those 3 bases up and mining. The 4th command center is coming in. Stims up, and there's only a handful of roaches here. So he's going to start to gun those down, and after those are gone, he's going to go after the hatchery. This is a terrible situation for Serral. Loses 4 drones there as well.
He knew to just attack into the drones and the Ravagers and roaches here. He's really keeping Serral occupied. Now the main base appears to be naked. I don't see anything to stop this. 2 queens, actually 4 up here above, but the Marines can fight that.
And they do. They start picking off some queens here. Nice transfusion goes down, but he's keeping Serral so busy. The supplies stay on the same level here. And, Serral has his Hydralis Den. He got his Hive, I believe, in there as well. So, he does have some progression going on, going towards Lurkers. But the Ghost Academy is almost finished. 2-2 is almost finished. 2 siege tanks are being produced at a time. Definitely Clem still has that advantage.
Looks like the Ling is going to get pulled up here. Clem will finally get his 4th base up and running. We're going to have a counterattack. I think Clem should have enough to deal with this, but let's see what Serral's able to do as he tries to engage.
Well, he's going to come in here right now. He does have those Hydras in the back. A great fungal goes down there from Serral. He really wants to break in through this 4th base location. Can't be letting Clem get that up. In the meantime, we see Clem with a counterattack across the map, hitting into this base. Oh my gosh, dealing so much damage there, killing 4 drones, and still holding off the big attack from Serral.
Yeah, and he's actually going to dive into this position as well. It looks like Clem is winning on both fronts.
Oh gosh. Yeah, he's microing both at the same time. I don't know even how you do that. GG! And Clem goes up 3-0.
Is he playing with 2 mice and 2 monitors? What's going on?
Oh, man. That was unreal. He's like picking off Vipers in the screen, the secondary screen, and then like picking off Hydras in the primary screen.
Both spots at once.
Yeah, no one knows.
Is there a DDR pad under him? Is he playing DDR2? How is he doing all these moves at the same time?
He's the quickest player in the world.
Can't believe it.
This is a big part of the reason why StarCraft has an unlimited skill ceiling, because the quicker you are, the more you can do. And he can just manage more than just about anybody.
Unbelievable. Guys, we're going to go to a short break. Coming back, we're going to continue on here at the finals of EWC.
World Championship StarCraft II history, as we have just been seeing Clem go toe-to-toe with Serral, and he is knocking back aggression. He is bringing it to the macro game. It's going to be a rare thing to say, but Serral may need this upcoming break to reset a little bit, because a 3-0 deficit and a best of 9, it's a long way back from here for Serral. We'll see you after this break.
Ready, set, go.
We're back here at the Esports World Cup Finals for StarCraft II. We said it was going to be close. We couldn't have been more wrong, at least so far. Right now, Clem up with a 3-0 lead in this best of 9.
It's a pretty big deal. You know, Clem is someone who really does play on tempo, and when he's in the lead, it's really hard to stop him. I hope that this short break for these two players has allowed Serral to kind of center himself and get back into the mode that we know he can do, where he can win these games as well.
We're going to be going back into that right now. It is going to be up to Serral to try to turn this around. Otherwise, Clem may just be too out of control and can't be stopped. In the top right, in the red, he is Serral. And his opponent down here in the bottom left, in the blue, he is Clem. I don't always want to read too much into the players' faces, but it does seem like Clem's still focused. Serral obviously doing his best to zero in, but looking a little miffed right now.
Yeah. Well, I hope that he's centering that anger, right? Like we've seen it where sometimes he just gets this look on his face and then he just like solves things and fixes the problems and wins. And I would love to see that. I would love to see him start to come back and give us a really close series, because right now, like I'm watching this man and I've just never seen play the level of what Clem is showing us. It is outstanding.
Well, it's very rare to see Serral tripped up in a developing game. I mean, that's kind of the ultimate thing a Zerg has to be able to do, is to develop, get a read on what they're doing, and then either get a direct solution to it or play around it. And so Zergs, from the very first day of a Zerg learning the race to a moment like this at the Esports World Cup here in Riyadh, you're in a constant state of having to try to grow and stop them from thwarting you. And eventually you get Zergs that just kind of seem to be untouchable. They grow wherever they want to go. They can trick the player into trying to stop them in a location they're not even interested in. They can fake out tech. They can do it all. But so far in the 3 games we've seen, Clem is just on top of it and punishing Serral. And Serral is in a very suffocated position when we get into the moment where Terran wants to push. And I think Serral's done a really good job of fighting back. It's actually been kind of remarkable to see him hold off Clem a couple times. But unless Serral either gets a successful rush off or has a very clean macro game where he goes in uninterrupted, it's probably likely that Clem will recreate this situation over and over and over.
Definitely a possibility. I do want to take a moment here because, you know, we're up 3-0 for Clem and he's been playing amazing. It looks great, but let's just really quickly go over just the broad strokes. 2 games, Serral tried Roach Ravager-based rushes, okay? If those don't work, you're behind and it's a tough spot. Okay, Clem stopped those. He lost both those games. Another game, he went for a more standard approach, but the Hellion Banshee play that Clem did, he was able to force cancels on the 4th base twice. And then with his first set of like Stim Marines, he actually killed the 5th base hatchery, which I guess we could call a 4th at that point because the other one was canceled twice. He was able to kill that off, right? So when you're looking at that, and it's like Serral did a little counterattack during that and everything, but it's like basically 2 rushes that Serral did that kind of failed. And then like, I don't feel like I normally see Serral having to cancel the 4th base multiple times and lose that 5th. Right? So I feel like if Serral plays a more normal game, if he's not attacking, if instead he just focuses on fixing some of the positioning issues that did allow these forced cancels and everything, okay, maybe we get into a game there where it goes a bit later and Serral can show the unbelievable strength of his late game Zerg.
Right now, Clem roaming around the map, doing scouting. You know, if you can kill something like a drone, it's going to be worthwhile. Serral's been pretty good about defending that. This map is very different in how it's set up structurally. You have a gold base that you get access to right away, and so that does create a different balance of unit composition here. You end up with, you know, if you go for roaches, more roaches, a Zerg or more Zerglings. For Terran, more Marines. But it doesn't seem like there's going to be any kind of special rush or weird tech. I think we'll probably just see 3rd, 4th, 5th bases a little bit quicker here on both sides.
I'd love to see that. That's exactly what I'd love to see, and you can see a little bit more value here so far for Clem, but that's normal. You know, Serral right now, he has those 3 bases. He's not really losing drones or anything, droning up really heavily. And, you know, looking over at the side here of Clem, yeah, kind of standard as to what we've seen so far. Nice quick double eBay. You know, he has Stim almost done here. He's going to go ahead and land that 3rd command center, so that's nice and fast. But we haven't seen that 4th hatch go up yet for Serral.
Now, we were talking about the fact that Clem was basically tripping up Serral in every single game, and Serral wasn't able to have a healthy development game. Well, this game he has looked really good. He's growing steadily. Clem, really hasn't attempted to be that aggressive. They're both basically in a race independently of each other, trying to build up and grow as quickly as possible. The first real jab coming in here is going to be this double medevac drop that's coming towards the, I believe it's the gold base, yeah, up here. This expansion. And Clem's got to be careful. And when those medevacs get damaged on the middle of the map, there's no easy way to heal them yet. Send them all the way back home. So Clem's going to try to put some pressure on here. Yeah. Let's see if he can drive out this hatchery.
Well, he's going to force a cancel on it, that's for sure. So that's one cancel on that fourth base. The roaches come up, and it looks like that's going to be just enough to push Clem back. But Serral is going to have to be careful because Clem's attacks are only going to get stronger. Both sides with 1-1 on the way, very well timed out against each other. We have combat shields coming, we have roach speed coming, an infestation pit here for Serral, so he does want to continue forward down that tech tree.
Okay, he's going to boost away. A drop in the main, this shouldn't do much. Yeah, Serral basically preempting a lot of the moves here on the map. The Hellions are going to be hurled into this expansion. I think they might actually be able to get a couple more kills. That was actually worth it. 6. Oh, and there's even a Reaper here. I didn't realize. 6 kills on that is going to pay for itself. So that's a good way for Clem to use those units and get rid of them and try to get some value. Look at how he takes these fights on the bottleneck. Yep. Even the ones where he can't quite win, he's very good at keeping the Marines in an arc, and then this area where the roaches get stuffed in together. They can't shoot that far, and so he's able to take a fight and trade much more favorably than he ever normally would.
I feel like I'm watching a chess master that's solving puzzles right now, right? Like, he's jumping over to this screen, he sees the location, instantly his Marines pull back, lure the roaches down, he picks off 2 roaches, picks up, leaves. Just instant value wherever he goes. It's really beautifully done here by Clem, who is continuing to make command centers. He's getting another factory going, his 1-1, about to finish his armory. He's lined up like perfectly with that as well. But he did not get like any base kills or anything yet. And Serral does have that gold base while going roach, which is always a nice thing.
But for now, no one's really taken a clear lead. I think Clem's done a decent job of aggravating Serral and really, nice bungle there here. Going to take out some of those. That's probably the first time that Clem has really been shut down as far as trying to move on the map. He does have a second medevac, or set of medevacs rather, moving out on the map, going towards the main, but Serral's on top of it. And this is really lining up to be much more of a Serral-esque game.
Yes. Yes, it looks very promising compared to some of these other games that we've seen from Serral, right? You can see him differentiating himself as far as the supply goes. We haven't seen a hatchery die. We did see 1 forced cancel, but not 2. He's getting a nice large army size. He already hit a very good fungal, right? Like, there's a lot of very good things going on for Serral. He's getting into that ultraless tech that he's so good at, baneling speed, just everything, right? But it's not like Clem has done things poorly or wrong this game either, right? He's going out, he's going to take his 4th at that gold base. He's going to start sucking up those additional resources. Double factory siege tanks are going, his upgrades are on time. A very good and even game right now.
Remember, this map is very big. It's not easy to push the Zerg. There's not a really obvious spot to try to hit. I think we generally see the gold base hit if there's going to be anywhere that's hit. Of course, that mines out a little bit faster, so sometimes that spot becomes irrelevant as it's already been dried up if the game goes on long enough. But this is a map where I think Serral can kind of stretch into both directions, the top left and the bottom right. And it's going to be probably one of the tougher late games for Terran in general out of all the maps we have in this best of 9.
Right now, a little bit of pressure coming out from Serral. I love the parasitic bomb, starting to grind some value here. Is going to be able to kill a medevac there as well, I think. Continuing to push out a little bit. Oh, the nice repair. Does keep that alive. And, Clem is setting up. And, it's not that far to this gold base that you were talking about, right? So if he can clear the creep up here, if he can creep his tanks up slowly but surely, he might be able to break through and punish that gold.
There's a roach counterattack coming in over here. He could just get this command center killed. So that's a forced cancel. In fact, it's going to probably be 2 forced cancels over here if he can target down this command center in time. Now the Marines and the Marauders are going to come up here, and this just goes to show you how fast Terran can do damage.
Oh my gosh.
I knew that was possible, but wow, you really see that was a misplay there from Serral. There's a huge drop coming in here. You know, we've had a lot of games with Nidus play. We don't really see the kind of old school Brood War-esque mass Overlord drop, but we're going to have it now, and this should be paired up with some kind of attack from the Zerg also in the front.
I love this move from Serral, and in fact, you're right. He's getting down into a better position. He actually yoinks one of the tanks. He's going to pick that off. Has to back up for now because Clem is actually starting to push up this ramp, but that drop should be going off.
Yeah, what is happening with the drop?
Oh, he hasn't gone in yet. Okay.
Waiting. I guess he wants to wait for Terran to try to make their move on the map. You know, Clem has been so zeroed in on microing and hitting multiple locations at once. It's possible he misses that, but seeing 2 Overlords.
Yeah.
Oh my God,
he's bringing units up now, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
He messed this up.
So, yeah, a little bit of a mistake there from Serral. He is going to go ahead and get that drop off and do a counterattack at the same time. Clem even using the command center to lift SCVs back, stimming backwards here. A great blinding cloud on the tanks and right next to that planetary. And he will have to run away, but gets a good amount of SCVs there as well.
That was beautiful by Clem. He shut that down on both sides. Serral did a little bit of damage there at the expansion, but honestly, Clem recovers, and Serral, long-term, hasn't really stopped anything or delayed anything.
Look at the cost efficiency here.
Yeah.
Twice as much for Clem. Twice as efficient. How do you do that against Serral of all people?
I thought it was impossible, to be honest. Serral still has a lot of map to take. You know, some of these smaller maps, all the bases are taken, and, you know, you kind of see the general direction the game's going in. We've got a lot more expansions to be had here for Serral and for Clem. Although generally it's harder for Terran to get too much of the map and maintain that balancing act of defense on both sides.
Right now, some snipes are coming out. That +3 carapace almost done. Chitinous plating, of course, already done for these Ultralisks. More siege tanks, more ghosts, more command centers here for Clem as his +3 attack is almost done. His +3 armor is actually very far behind. I think that must have just been a little bit of a mistake from him. But you know what? Right now, both sides are maxed. Serral has a little bit bigger bank, but like the bank doesn't make him ahead here. I definitely look at this position and think that Clem is winning this game right now. But Serral has 93 drones, and you can do a lot with 93 drones.
Yeah. He's got a real economic engine behind him, but so far the engagements haven't really worked out, and that's really important. We are starting to fill in all the remaining spots on the map. It's kind of crazy. We're only at about 13 minutes. There's almost no more bases to take anywhere. I guess one more for Clem just below, just outside of where his second base is. But yeah, I mean, things are really heating up.
Dude, Clem is just, he's killing stuff every time he sees Zerg, and Zerg is not doing the same. Okay, well, that's that was insane. Yeah. Very well done, Serral. All right, touche. But one thing to note is that Clem right now is actually adding more factories in a second armory, and Serral is adding double spire.
Right.
So they both are kind of realizing that this game has real potential to go super long, right? We're only at like 13, 14 minutes right now, but the way they're setting up is for a game that might mine out the map.
They're basically getting ready for super late game development. We could have one of these games where the Zerg has one unit composition, throws it into the Terran, and then remakes a completely different looking composition to try to counter whatever Terran would then try to remake. And Zerg can do this when they get dramatically ahead of minerals and gas, as you get to these opportunities that are unusual in the other matchups. But definitely a common sight here in a TVZ from the Zerg's perspective. Clem is still trying to push out. I mean, the creep spread has been really good. The entire map is basically paved with creep everywhere, although Clem is trying constantly to clean that up.
Yeah, and we just saw that cost efficiency about twice as much for Clem, and he just continues to be so ridiculously efficient here. One thing to mention is I think there's something like 14, 15 siege tanks out, so I do like the, 15 siege tanks at the moment. I do like the fact that he got double spire, but he's actually going upgrades before that greater spire, which makes me a little bit nervous. If you don't have the potential to go for the Broodlords, how are you actually going to get through 15 tanks with 2 more at a time being made currently? I guess that's one way. You start picking them off with Zerg.
Yeah,
that's probably the best way, actually. I'm going to give it to him.
The Ling run-bys are not bad here. we're really getting into an insanely dramatic TVZ right now. I don't know where exactly Clem should try to go to. The gold base is in reach, so I guess that's the place he could try to hit. But again, this isn't going to matter in long term. Zerg has about 180 degrees of map presence around the Terran. That doesn't mean that Terran can't win, but gosh, it's a lot to try to hack and saw your way through.
The positions that are being set up are so tough. If you look at this, it's like sensor powers going up, missile turrets, siege tanks spread really well, ghosts in there with a bunch of bio that's ready to stim. He's making it so difficult for Serral to do anything, which is a big part of why that cost efficiency is so high for Clem. Still clearing out a lot of this creep as well. He did kill that hatch at the gold, although it was mostly gone. Ooh, the Infestor. I love the Infestor setups that he has. This is like such an important thing that may come into play later on.
We're getting Nidus networks plugged in all over the map so that Zerg can easily switch into whatever side of the map needs the attention to defend these locations. Clem's going to try to take one of the last spots available on the map, and Serral has something to say about that. He's going to drive that command center all the way away. Just now going to try to reland. Meanwhile, another attack up here at the top, and it seems like Clem is going to shut him down on both sides.
Yeah, Serral starts to move in, but takes a few shots, so realizes that that may not be the right choice. A ton of mules dropping down. +2 air attack, but the other Spire going towards the greater Spire. So he is going to go for that Broodlord tech. And honestly, I think that that's a very important tech switch that we're going to need to see. Right? Like, how many Broodlords are you actually going to make? Because don't forget, there's like a lot of factories, so something like Ghost plus Thor might just knock those out really quickly. But you also may need the Broodlords to break certain positions. This type of army that Serral has can't attack in a mass tank turret Ghost. Look at that.
I love the snipes. Just barely backs out. Now, although Serral has a lot of the map and kind of surrounds Clem with expansions, these expansions on the exterior are going to be very pushable for Clem. So sometimes games, just like the one that we saw there, these games where it looks like Zerg has too much can turn into their few farthest away bases being killed over and over, and sometimes Terran just squeezes into one of those last two locations, kind of a la that Maru play style that has been very popular over the past 4 or 5 years or so. We call that Terran exhaust play. This could be a route for Clem to try to play this game out and win that way.
Yeah, one thing that Clem is doing very differently from the way Maru might play a position like this, like Maru oftentimes in these types of positions will go for like mass liberator as opposed to mass siege tank, but this is definitely a mass siege tank, mass ghost type of play. I've only really seen Beyond try this type of play in the late game, but I feel like Clem is doing it to this other level that we haven't seen yet. The fact that he has 17 siege tanks and 24 ghosts, 24.
Insane, man.
Oh my gosh.
So these two bases at the bottom right, they're being remade over and over again, and they're getting denied over and over again. Clem just keeps coming through here and clearing this up. He's not even eager to expand here just yet. He's kind of just poking it out and then running away. And it's almost like he's just saving these for later on.
Yeah.
And there's not a whole lot that Serral can do. It's hard to get in that area. It's a very narrow corridor. Serral's answer is to try to do a huge counter push here with these Broodlords. Only one Broodling going to come in here. Didn't get the memo to turn around. But he showed the Broodlings, and a scan confirms it. And so when you see Broodlords on the map, you kind of know that you can start to really punish the Zerg positionally, because Broodlords are basically the slowest unit in the game. So you just hit wherever they're not.
And the Broodlords do take a little bit of time flying around. He is getting Neural here as well, and a ton of Infestors. And I feel like Serral's doing all the right things, and Clem is just not letting him have them work. You know? Like, I feel like every time the Vipers get anywhere near Clem, the EMP is so fast they're unable to even cast any spells. Hopefully these Infestors can do a bit better. You know, the Neurals are going to be important, any Fungals are going to be important, and if he can't land those spells, well, really, that's his chance to get efficient here, to make something really happen.
You know, the fact that it's not even just the two bottom right bases. Oh my God, all the Broodlords are going to be going down here. Hold that thought. We have a lot of shots fired in here. The back and forth continues on. but Serral is driven away. I was saying that the 3 bases on the bottom right, they're just not being mined from, and Clem's basically saving them. He's just saving. Yeah. He's letting Zerg waste money taking this. Okay, he's finally sent the command center down here. If Serral can get, I would say even 2 of the 3 bases here, I'm sorry, if Clem can get 2 of the bases here in the bottom right, Serral is going to be economically unviable.
Yeah, I think you're just about right about that. And like, Serral has a huge bank, by the way. We haven't really mentioned that yet, but he has 11,000 minerals, 2,000 gas. But Clem has an unbelievable bank as well for Terran. 8,000 minerals, 3,000 gas. That's huge, especially with the cost efficiency that he continues to show throughout the game. Now some Thors coming out. His ghost control has been immaculate. You can see the EMPs going down, the snipes going down, clearing out a lot of these Broodlords so far. Like, this is the first time, I think, and look at this, 17,000, 34,000. He's kept the 2-to-1 ratio, which doesn't even make sense. It doesn't even make sense.
He's just getting more value in every fight.
I've never seen it where it's Serral playing and I'm like, oh, this looks hopeless. Like, how do you even beat this? This looks OP, you know?
I've never really seen late game Serral up against the ropes, but here we are. Another push comes in here into the bottom right. Keep in mind, even the gases haven't been mined from. We see drones come here and try to mine, and they're driven right away. Now Serral is going to try to take advantage of the positional imbalance and come in here and take this out, but there's no minerals here. This expansion doesn't matter.
Not very much at all. Just a tiny amount of resources left. He's really putting a lot into breaking it, and I guess he will break it, and it can be useful to break positions, even if they don't have too much, because it kind of opens up another place you might be able to attack the Terran. But Clem, like, he's forever maxed, you know? He's sitting here on, like, the perfect unit compositions, max supply, 20 less workers, so 20 more army supply than Serral. I mean, if you look at his sensor towers, how quickly he's clearing areas. I don't understand how he has all these armies split perfectly everywhere as well. And he maintains the 2-to-1 ratio. I can't even believe it.
It's wild.
You know,
we saw Serral try to push into that base, and at the moment it's killed, their backup command center is thrown right in there.
Yeah.
Meaning that those banelings are basically wasted. Now Serral is just getting pushed away from this base at the center right. The Ghosts are going to take that hatchery out. I think we are slowly going to see Serral dry up. He's really not able to get that much done. The position in the middle of the map is so far forward here that there's no thing of value here. There's no like expansion or production or anything to really fight and win.
Oh my gosh, Serral's throwing everything he has into Clem right now. He's trying to fungal, he's sending links, he's sending the infestors forward. All the Broodlords have already been cleared, but he barely makes any progress. The supply of Serral drops by 40 plus. Clem barely a dent.
Serral looking very tense right now as I think the walls are starting to close in. He doesn't really have a lot of opportunities. He has a huge bank, by the way, but it doesn't seem like if Clem is this maxed out, even after a huge fight like that, there's no obvious thing to pour those resources into to try to build the momentum to somehow get a lead and close this game out. And as every second passes, Clem is getting more and more of the bottom right side of the map. Now Serral at the top left side of the map for most of this game. That's going to mine out eventually.
Yeah, he's coming in once again. Mass Zerglings being utilized, using up some of that 11K bank. Rolling in with the Banes as well. Okay, I mean, he pushes back some of these positions reasonably well, but now suddenly there's Liberators to deal with. 3 tanks at a time, 4 Liberators at a time, 4 Ghosts at a time. Clem's production is just perfect.
Another push comes through here. Nice fungal there on the Ghosts. Tanks are going to siege up very late with the Blinding Cloud, making them useless. Serral with a decent fight, but again, I don't see the big picture really panning out here for him. The fact that we're even seeing Terran push up here is sort of unheard of. This hatchery's so low, I think he can just right-click it down if he wants. Is he going to go for it? He scans again. Clem being very cautious to not overextend, by the way.
Clem doesn't even know how to overextend at this point. The quality of his play is absurd, and you can see just how flustered Serral has been this entire time.
He's just going to try to come in here and flip that hatchery up. Again, Clem never overcommits. Always ready to micro back and trade. He's going to do it again. This is a hatchery at like 4% HP. And he's going, nope, just every time I will draw you in. He's going to snipe this Infestor, just barely doesn't get it.
Man, this is so rough for Serral. Normally, I feel like I could tell you like what unit comp he should go for to try and what he should try to do, but the pressure from Clem is literally non-stop, and there's sensor towers everywhere. So I really don't know what it is, but he's making a bunch of Ultras to go with this mostly Hydra Ling army, which I don't think is a bad choice. Like, the Broodlords sure won't work, and he's got to try something here. Now, here come a ton of Ultras trying to get in, but a lot of Liberators are in here. Siege tanks, snipes everywhere, and Serral's army is evaporating. GG! Clem goes up 4-0.
Unreal. Clem won 3 games with great early game play, hitting specific moments, interrupting timing attacks. But in game 4, it's the macro game. It's who's got more of the map. And Clem could not have played a better TVZ, I want to say exhaust game, but it ended with a push, actually, which is kind of unheard of.
Yeah. You can see some serious differences between the way that Clem is playing this and like the way that Maru played it against Serral, right? Where Clem is keeping more pressure on, his splits are a bit better, his comp started different and then started to go towards the same place that Maru goes a bit earlier. Like, Clem is... he's just another level at this point.
Yeah, I think Serral did a good job. You know, he actually got all of the map for a little bit.
Yeah.
But Clem was really patient. I'm especially intrigued by the fact that Clem didn't scramble and freak out when the bottom right was taken. He sent the absolute minimum down there to take out those 2 locations over and over. He let his other bases mine out. This was maybe the biggest blunder of the game. He showed 2 drop overlords where you really can only show, well, you can't show anything. And so that just allowed Clem to shut down both of these attacks and then reach out for more territory on the map overall.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe there's a better way to do it. We'll talk about that in a moment, though. We are going into Game 5, and it is match point for Clem right now.
In the bottom right, in the red, he is Serral. And his opponent in the top left, in the blue, he is Clem. Clem eager to close this out. If Serral could start the comeback, it might be the craziest comeback in esports history.
Yes.
I mean, he would have to win 5 games in a row. I don't think Clem has shown any kind of Achilles heel so far.
Yep.
No obvious weakness in his play. No ideas that are actually faulty if you approach them from a different angle. If anybody could do it, it would be Serral. But for now, Clem just seems to make it look easy.
Yeah. The thing about StarCraft is the skill ceiling is truly infinite, right? Like, you can just always get better. And the level that Clem is showing is just above what anyone has done. And, you know, Terran is a race where it's like you got to be really fast. And the speed with which he's doing these things, it honestly looks like unbelievable. I don't even know in theory what Serral should be doing here, right? The only things that are coming to my mind, like we talked at the beginning of that game, it's like, okay, well, you can't be doing the roach rush. That's not working. Okay, so, you know, you have to make sure that your hatchery isn't getting canceled a bunch and you're not losing a base. Okay, he did both those as well in the last game. So he got himself into this position where he had an unbelievable bank, full tech, full upgrades, all these different options. And it still didn't work. It still didn't work, and he's the best in the world at that. So where do you go from there? And the only things that are even coming to my mind, Tasis, is like, okay, maybe you need more abducts, more parasitic bombs, right? Like, maybe you have to just try to get a little bit more grindy there. Because he was, like, making these comps and trying to move in. It's like, okay, well, there's so many siege tanks. Let's try Broodlords to break through. And it just wasn't working. It's amazing to see, and it's just, this is something, if Clem continues to keep this level, I mean, you know, everyone's going to have to work at how to beat him.
Interestingly, Clem hasn't gone for any rushes. He hasn't done anything, you know, crazy or risky, which, you know, you would say almost always in at least the best of 7, you'd see that, right? It's important to oscillate between various builds so that your style isn't that predictable. Instead, Clem is just leaning into the same kind of play in a lot of these games. Safe, creating opportunities for himself, basically no risk at all.
And the thing is, if you're an actual step above everybody else in the world, why not?
Right.
Why not do something that is simultaneously safe but greedy, right? And that's basically what he's doing here. Okay, he's going for the third command center after factory each time, and then he's alternating between starport and second barracks, right? So it's either Hellion Banshee or quick stim with Marines. And, you know, he's just kind of alternating, kind of randomly doing it. So it's very hard to predict. It's very hard to choose a build that just counters that. And if you go in the wrong direction, like we saw in games 1 and 3, he's so far ahead that it doesn't feel like there's a chance.
$400,000 on the line for the winner. Clem is just one TVZ away, one win away from taking it. Serral has to try to turn this whole thing around. It looks almost impossible, at least for the start here. It seems like Serral's going to drive that push back. This is a smaller map. This is a tighter map, which means pushes are going to become a lot more important. In a map like the previous one, kind of up to the Terran to stay back and turtle and figure out how to kind of expand and grow. But we should have a game more in line with 1 through 3 than game 4 here.
Okay. You know, looking at the way that this game is being played thus far, right? It looks in many ways closer to the previous game so far, right? Like Serral hasn't actually taken any damage. He's blocked everything really well. Banshees are going to come. The Hellions are dancing back and forth right now, kind of seeing like, oh, is there a little hole here? Is there not? We already saw him lose the Reaper. It was like kind of a little bit of an overcommitment on those units earlier on. But he's still got good health. He's still got a good unit count. We'll see if he can get anything done here against Serral right now.
For now, the Hellions are going to continue to harass and try to stop the creep tumors from spreading too much on the map. The Banshee actually on patrol out here, not even trying to dive in. It looks like he wants to wait for Cloak to finish before sending that in there.
Yeah. Seems kind of obvious what that's dancing for, right?
Yeah. That's going to come in a second here. We'll see if he actually gets any damage off. But everything looking very standard here in Game 5, where everything's on the line here. If Serral can't stop Clem, he's out. And that's it. Clem is the world champion.
I actually still believe in Serral. Like, he fixes problems so quickly. Like, the games 1 through 3, I think he figured out a lot of things. Game 4, he did, he got himself into a very reasonable position, and Clem just kind of outdid him. But now he knows, like, okay, if I get into that position, I kind of know what to expect. So I think he can kind of play a little bit differently if we get back to that spot. Now the Cloak Banshee's coming in and doing a little bit of harassment here in the main base. Great pullback there from Serral. Saves his queen, doesn't really take damage. The Banshees have some damage on them. They haven't really done very much yet.
Yeah, the Banshee's really not getting a whole lot done. They're going to be driven out here. Again, Clem playing fairly conservatively here. Definitely not wanting to overextend, which is saying a lot, because a lot of Terrans occasionally will try to run through with all their Hellions and just try to suicide onto the drones and get some value. Clem really the king of not overextending here.
Yeah, we have no hatchery cancels or anything yet. So far, this seems like it's the best game for Serral. Clem getting his second factory. He has that 1-1 going. I think we'll see him add the armory any second now. Still trying to harass. Gets a couple drones. Not that big a deal. Serral's already at 76 drones. I think losing a couple is not really going to affect him here.
So it's all going to be about this push. Now, this is a very standard push here from Clem. This is not something that we haven't seen before. If we were going to show somebody what a TVZ would look like and they didn't know the game, this would be it. But it's a push coming from Clem, and he's really shown some masterful control. He knows when to move in, when to move out. He's going to use that medevac to boost the tank over here to quickly try to set up a position, but already you can see that Serral's there. He's going to dive on that tank and wipe it out. With one tank down, it's a lot harder to try to get a position where you can actually advance on the Zerg.
This type of push, you're really looking to get rid of the fourth base. And I don't know that he's going to be able to do that here. He's got those Banshees still sitting over to the side. Has another command center started up now. He's trying to play a more aggressive game here. And Serral clears it easily. Easily.
And that's the kind of early mid-game moment we really we're hoping to see from Serral. For Serral's sake here. He needed to shut down a push. That takes the wind out of the sails here for Clem in this position. Clem not able to find anything, not even really able to land anywhere on the ground. But hold on a second, we've got a counterattack here. How quickly can he actually get down here? He's going to go for targeting this down. He doesn't get it in time. Serral is playing the mid-game of his life right now.
Yes, he's playing beautifully. You know, Clem is playing more aggressively than he did in some of these other games. So he's kind of putting himself on the line, trying to force damage out. And Serral is parrying that damage. Incredibly important here for Serral.
Stim comes down here, clearing out these creep tumors. Clem trying to find any damage he can, but you can see Serral just has a lot more muscle on the ground. And you know, there's a period in TVZ where Terran can fight on the ground, and if they can kite, excuse me, they can kind of overcome the Zerg, and then they'll win and start to win the game. But there's the opposite where the Zerg starts to really take the fight, and then Terran can't be on the ground at all. They have to just keep picking up in medevacs. The more you see Terran pick up in medevacs over the next minute or two, the more you realize they're really not getting anything done. Yeah. And Zerg is going to be able to shove out on the map with creep tumors everywhere.
The defense here of Serral looking extremely, extremely strong. This 5th base, can Clem do something against it? He sets up some Widow Mines, really important there. Nice lift off there since not that much came in. Re-burrowing that very hurt Widow Mine. It actually gets blown up, doesn't do that well. Good defense here from Serral thus far.
And he's not really gotten a whole lot done. Serral perches back. He's going to let the Terran try to feed into this position, and he's going to try to collapse on it. A pickup here, it's a good move to go for these tanks. At the minimum, you want to clear the tanks out. Once again, killing the tanks denies another foothold for the Terran. A tech reset, so to speak. And things are looking better and better here for Serral. He's got quite a lot of money in the bank. He's nearly maxed out, as is Clem. We're going to get to the real clash in a second here as 2-2 is about to finish.
Yeah, this is some very important moments right now. Serral's trying to continually defend every single location. He's got such a beautiful drone count right now. He's killed a lot of siege tanks. His defense is just amazing. But, you know, Clem is still being very cost efficient. He's maxed out. He has 2-2. He has good tech. He's taking that 4th base. He's getting ready to take a 5th base. So still a lot of good things going for Clem. But again, I feel like this so far is maybe the best game for Serral.
Definitely the best game we've had from him for now. But no clear opportunities for Serral to win. I mean, it's definitely a game where the longer it goes on, Clem could recover, but you know, this is not a game where we're seeing, you know, the Terran go for the Zerg's knees and trip him up so many times that there's no way to really catch back up. Small drop over here as Lings are going to stream in. Clem going to get a decent trade here. Nothing too significant. There's another attack coming down here at 6 o'clock as 2 medevacs are still parked here on the map. It looks like this drone was intended for that base just south of that screenshot. And on pretty much all maps, you know, Zerg is going to be reaching in 2 different directions. And it's going to be harder the longer the game goes on. A great targeting there. You know, sometimes it's better to stim and stutter step into the drones and get damage there. Other times you got to know to just focus down that starting hatchery. And in that moment, that was the right play. So he takes a base out. He's got another position up here. And this is where Serral might be strained in that balancing act. A forced cancel when he killed the drone. He's going to chase that down and wipe it as well. The perimeter is weakening here for Serral. He's having a harder time reaching the 2 corners, unlike he did in the last game.
Yeah. This comes down heavily to the multitasking here of Clem. And notice that Serral hasn't really been able to put an attack down on Clem in quite some time. Clem now at this point has taken his 5th base. He's got sensor towers in great locations right now. There's some very good moves. Like we see the Vipers are being very cost efficient. We've seen some great parasitic bombs. You know, we see those 2 abducts there to clear out those medevacs in the back, so that's very, very good. They're both maxed out. They both don't have big banks. They're both at 2-2, right? So this is a very close game right now, but you're right. Like, Clem did start to get some damage, canceling the 5th, or, you know, killing the 5th, canceling the 6th. You know, Serral's being kept on lower bases than what he wants.
Lings are going to come forward here now. The Banes are going to come up, and it looks like Clem almost was hit by that attack from behind. A great tactic there from Serral to try to ram those Banes into him. He sees it, he picks up, he can regroup. Another counterattack is going to be on the map. Looks like it's going to go right through the middle here. What is actually up here to defend? It looks like almost nothing.
Ooh, this could be a very cool move here from Serral. I'd love to see him get aggressive on the other side of the map. seesawing that action. Instead of having Clem attack him everywhere at once, he's bringing a very strong force up and making Clem deal with that.
Yeah, he pulls in these two medevacs. Does seem like, again, Clem kind of always able to surround these positions. I do find it intriguing that Serral didn't dive in further with those Banes. I think it was probably the smart move there on that command center. But here it is, that tug of war in the map, and it just seems like Clem is so good at this. Clem is about to hit 3-3, so he's going to be the strongest he'll ever be in this game. I think the small link counters are great. It's a good way to at least drive SCVs out without wasting valuable banelings on something that could be used for a push.
Yeah, killing off a few SCVs here and there can be nice, but Clem's economy stays strong. Serral still on a more forward position on this map. He has remade a bunch of hatcheries at this point, right? So he has his core of 5 bases, a 6th base taken in the bottom left, a 7th towards that top right. So Serral really building his economy. You know, you can see the resource loss tab. It's not twice as much anymore for Clem, which is a relief for Serral fans, or really any StarCraft fans that are watching this World Finals.
He's going to go right by that Infestor, just in the blind spot of the scan. Is Serral going to punish, and if so, how? Another scan comes down here. Sniping those Vipers, nicely done, backing up. Now remember, there's even bases on both sides, so the concept that was, oh, hold on, he's gonna dive in.
Yeah,
Wow.
He felt that one out right there. He's like, no, this is a Serral Infestor spot. So a great catch right there. Another fungal does hit over here, but unable to capitalize upon it.
So, with even bases on each side of the map, it's the same problem that Zerg has. The further out they have to get and try to take bases, the easier it is for the Terran to hit it. And Terran need less bases in the game always than the Zerg. So the position that Serral had earlier on that was pretty comfortable is now becoming a problem here for him, as Clem is hitting both the top right and the bottom left over and over and basically wiping him away from his ability to mine more resources.
Serral still holding on to this base, brings some Ling Bane in, some great parasitic bombs as well, continuing to try to reduce that medevac count. A lot of Liberators, Mines, and Ghosts being made by Clem, continuing to try to pressure this base. I don't think Serral has any chance to save this one, but he continues to bring more Lings and Hydras up. And that is it!
It's over! Clem is your world champion, defeating Serral 5-0, taking home $400,000.
Doubling the prize money he's won, beating the greatest player in the world for the last 6 years. Clem has done it. He's brought Terran to another level and is your new world champion.
He's done it. We thought it was going to be close. We couldn't have been more wrong. We have never seen dominant performance like that ever in StarCraft II against a player who looked to be untouchable. Clem is your world champion.
Clem, you are the winner, and you hold your key now, which will be broken open by our Keymaster and placed into the trophy that represents your world championship that you have claimed. We welcome the Keymaster to the stage now to prepare our trophy. Every player was awarded a key at the beginning of this tournament. Every player that has lost has handed over their key to be crushed and potentially placed in the base of the trophy that Clem will take home and keep on his shelf to remember exactly what he achieved here today. Below this trophy lie the crushed keys of every other player. And now, the championship trophy is complete. You may take your trophy. Hold it high, Clem.
Ladies and gentlemen, your StarCraft II World Champion, Clem!
Not just a victory, but an